Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back to my channel. This particular video will be about my eBay reselling. So it's going to go into the second playlist that I have addressed to all things eBay. I sell primarily books on eBay. So on the last Thursday of each month, here in the southeast corner of my state, there's a thrift store that sells books for 50% off. I think it's a great sale. For me, the profits on eBay begin at the point of purchase rather than the point of sale. And what I mean by that is I purchase books from my inventory based on what I predict from my years of experience that they'll make for me. I have a box of about 18 books, which I'm going to go over with you to show you what I mean. Now, sometimes I'll look for books based on their unique appeal, whether it's the title or something intriguing, and I'll talk about all of that as well. Single books, I try to sell them for approximately $20 at the minimum. But I've learned that bundling books of lesser value increases their value for both the customer and me, the seller. I will bundle, for example, 3 books in a set. Because they make a complete set, it provides value in that sense to the customer. The customer also feels like they're getting a bargain for getting 3 books at a lesser price. Now, from my years of experience, I have an idea like what I'll sell 3 books for, what I'll sell 4 books for, etc. I earn about 5 figures a year on eBay, and it's a good side hustle. But I'm on YouTube now to create a second stream of income, and with the two, my wife and I will be able to travel when she retires next year and do some fun things. I drive about 2 miles to this thrift store, and it's another 2 miles back. So the first thing I do when I come home is I go to my accounting book, and it's a simple 4-column ledger, and I'll put down on a page entitled mileage that I traveled 5 miles, 4 miles for inventory, 1 mile for the post office because I had to ship a book off today. So that's 5 miles that I traveled that can be applied towards business mileage. Under a column entitled purchases, I will put down what I paid for the 18 books. I think it was something like $23.49, something like that. I don't have the receipt in front of me, but it was half day. I estimated, even at the half price, that I was going to spend about anywhere from $25 to $40. So when she told me that my charge is $23, I was happy with that. A lot of these books were priced at $2.50 each. It's because I got about 18 books. I thought I had a really good value, and I thanked her, signed for it, and asked for the receipt. What I do is I keep all my receipts. I tape them for the week, and then I put them in a little box somewhere. And at the end of the year, I'll put them all into a large envelope and mark it 2025 so that I will have proof come April of the following year. God forbid, I've never been audited, but if I should be audited, I will at least have all the sales receipts and the good records that I keep in my columnar book. As I list the books, or I also got some VHS videotapes today, I will mark down where I put them in my inventory. I have a couple of storage units, and I also have been packing and piling boxes up in my carport. So I like when I sell something from the carport because I just got to walk outside and find the book, and it's easy. Otherwise, I have to drive a half mile to go get the books from the storage unit. That's not far to go, but still, it's so much easier when I can find the stuff in the carport. I primarily sell Christian books, but I also sell mainstream and secular books. I've got an inventory of close to a couple thousand. And with the non-book items, that inventory is probably about 2,500. And that's enough to make several sales a month, and that helps pay for some of the lesser bills. My wife, who's working full-time, pays for the larger bills, and I pay for the lesser bills. But together, it's been a good haul in my retirement. So anyway, let me show you the books. And I hope that you can hear me as I turn the phone around. I got this in the freebie section. It's a adult Sabbath school lesson, and I'm going to combine it with others that I already have, build a bundle of maybe 9 of them and sell them for some higher price. Okay, so these are some of the books that I got. First, I'll start with the small set of 2. These are children's books, and I thought they were interesting because I like the author, Jerry Thomas. He wrote a book called The Messiah, an adult book. But these 2 I thought would be appealing for parents with young children. Oh, these boys look to be about anywhere from 8 to 10 years old, so I'll address my listing to that age level. So these 2 books, I'm going to ask, let's see, $20 each. So I'll put them together and price them at something like $20 each. So this set will go up for $29.55, or I'll just make it at $40. I'm not sure. Now, in this box, there are other sets of 3. I like Charles Swindoll. He writes some good commentaries on Bible characters. I've got a set of 3 Bible character books here. This set of 3 books I will put up for $39.91, close to $40. So that's $39.91. Then there are 3 other children's books in a set. A complete set makes it handy for the parents and for the children who like them. These books are called Once Upon a Time, Twice Upon a Time, and Half Upon a Time. Very clever titles. And they're written by a guy named James Riley. I've never sold James Riley before, but I thought they were a unique set, so I'm going to get them. I like the artwork on them. They should be appealing for little kids. Again, I would think that they appeal to the 9 to 12-year-old age. So the set of 3, like this one, $39.91. Here's another set of 3. These are romance novels featuring Amish female characters as leads. My wife and I have watched the Hallmark Channel, and she's really liked the stories about the Amish. I think there are some Amish in my community. They might be Mennonites, but the women wear the white bonnets. I think that's an attractive thing, that women wearing dresses and having white bonnets, that seems to have an appeal, and it's popular with the female set who like romance novels. And being that these are from a Christian bookstore, they feature a lot of these sets. This one is written by Wanda Brunstetter, and I've seen that name before in other Amish sets. And another Amish author is Beverly Lewis. She's written a lot of romance novels and featured the Amish people. She may reside in Pennsylvania, which would explain that. But these 3 books make up a set, so that'll be another $39.91 that I put them up for. So I'm gonna just round that out to $40. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is the 4th set. So that's 4 times 4. That's $160 right there. This is a book about Revelation. It's got a lot of study guides. All these study guides are about the prophecies of Daniel and Revelation. They're from one particular denomination, and because they come in a folder already, it makes it handy for the buyer. I'm going to charge things like this of a religious nature. I'm going to give it a good religious price, $77.77. Now, I know some of you may be thinking these are awful high prices, but I've found that rather than race, what they call racing to the bottom, I rather maintain and race to the top. I also, in all of my listings, offer a buy it now or best offer. So people will often send me best offers, which are lower than the prices I ask for. And depending on who the customer, it might be a repeat customer, or if they're reasonable and they have a nice message in there, I'll usually honor their best offers. If they lowball me too much, like today, I got a best offer for $5 on something that I'd already put on 50% sale, and that resulted in a 20-something dollar price, and the guy offered me $5. Well, that was a large book, and I thought $5 was too low, so I denied it. I could have countered with $10 or $15, but I didn't want to get into that hassle, so I just denied it. I figured that an outright denial might trigger him to come back with another offer, so I'm still waiting on that. And then there are some single books. Monarch of the Hidden Valley. It seemed like a very attractive outdoors book for young children, again from the 9 to 12 age. And then I like Max Lucado. I like his style of writing, and I learned a lot about the Holy Spirit when I was doing that sermon research from Max Lucado. He gave a very simple definition of the Holy Spirit. He gave a little example of him riding in the bus, and his father put a little note in his pocket that said, "This is my son. Should anyone come upon him, he belongs to me, and this is my guarantee that I will come for him should you have a need to call me." And it was a good analogy for God and the Holy Spirit. When we give our lives to Jesus Christ, God has a seal, seals it with the promise of the Holy Spirit. And it's a seal of protection as well as a seal of ownership. And that note in Max Lucado's pocket was a good analogy. Then this book I picked up because the title really intrigued me, The Other Einstein. And as I read through some of the synopsis, sure enough, the other Einstein was Albert Einstein's wife. Did you know that he was married? I didn't. She was also a physicist. In fact, she and Albert attended the same university, and that's where they fell in love. The book speaks of Albert as being charismatic. It's not something that I would use to describe Einstein, but so it intrigued me. Now, I read anywhere from 25 to 50% of the books that I buy. Not necessarily cover to cover, but a very good skim job. And I mentioned in a previous video that I read books like I'm channel surfing. At any given moment when I'm watching TV, there may be 10 to 12 books in front of me, and I'm picking one of them, reading a bit, putting them down, and picking up the next book. I've always been like that. It's hard to keep me focused on one thing. I've always had this knack of trying to do multiple things at the same time, which just aggravates my wife, but it's who I am. And if it's a fault, I'll certainly hear about it on the other side of heaven. Anyway, that's what I picked up from the thrift store. The cost was something like $23.40-something, which I gladly paid. But at the time that I picked them up, I projected that I could make about $447 in profit. So the return on investment would be way over 900-something%. Now it's just a guesstimate on my part, but after working on eBay for 25 years now, and as I speak to my future self, you will have been working on it for 37 years by the time you review this. in the year 2037. You get to know patterns, and I I just know that my estimates are pretty close to what I actually get. It's a lot of hard work because listing takes time, um, shipping takes time, but waking up to find that I've made one or two sales is a really good feeling. It's it's as close to passive income as I can get, but there's nothing passive about the work involved. I think the most fun I have is going on buying trips. It's like treasure hunting. I like yard sales and estate sales because I will find books that people are selling for maybe $1 a book or less. I like those kind of sales. I like church sales because I can fill up a bag and pay like $1 to $5, and I can get a lot of books that way for an inexpensive price. And I feel good because I'm doing my community a service. I'm keeping the landfills less full. If I can purchase things and resell them to others who may have missed them the first time around, and I sell all over the world. So I'm especially happy that people in Australia, for example, can purchase books that they can't get in their country. I sell to Europe and England and France a lot, Canada, Australia. Aside from going and purchasing these books in the store, they will sometimes discard media outside the store because they don't want to hang on to these things. They want to get rid of them as fast as they can. So my favorite four-letter word that starts with F is free. And in the free pile, I found 6 unique VHSs. And I'm going to lot them together and put them up for $59.74. I mentioned in a previous video that my prices, I'm bored with prices that end at 99, like $2.99, $4.99. So I try to find my family members that have birthdays that have numbers similar to what I want to price things. I have a brother who was born in 59 on the 4th of July. So that would be how I come up with $59.74. And I'll show you what I mean.